My name is Khalida Akmalia. In this occasion, I'm going to give a presentation about my mini research under title An Analysis of Student Translation Product of a Text entitled Cinderella. So, why did I choose this topic? Actually, there are several reasons that makes me choose this topic as my research. The first is because this is a main need of language learners, and one of the most important language subjects. As you know, translation is a language subject which is very crucial. If we have mastered a translation itself, I know if we have been able to translate, then we can follow another skill frequently. And then the profession that is needed in all fields. Being a translator is one of the most important professions in all fields. Almost all fields of such as education, business, or maybe economy also will need a translator for their field of work. In education, for example, a teacher must have a very good skill in translation in order people or students will be able to understand his or her very well. Because a teacher must give a very good explanation or translation which is communicatively to their students. So the class will be run effectively. And then, talking about translation itself. So what does translation mean? Translation is the process of transposition of a text which is written in a source language into target language. So translation is an activity to transfer meaning from the source language into the target language. Many people would say that the term translation is similar to interpretation. By strict definition, translation refers to the written language, and the interpretation refers to the oral or spoken language. There are 8 types of translation. The first is word-forward. Word-forward model translation is reversing the source language word order and the words translated by their most common meanings. The main use of this method is either to understand the mechanics of the source language or to elaborate a difficult text. And then literal translation is converting the source language grammatical constructions to their nearest target language equivalents, but lexical items are again translated out of context. And faithful translation is reproducing the precise contextual meaning of the original within the constraint of the target language grammatical structures. Semantic translation differs from faithful translation only as far as it must take more account of the aesthetic value of the source language text. Semantic translation tries to maintain the semantic and syntactic structure as well as the contextual meaning of the source text. Adaptive translation is the theory from the translation mainly used for plays and poetry. Adaptive translation used to adapt source language culture. So they convert the meaning, they convert the culture of a target language into the written, sorry, they convert the culture of source language into the target language culture by the text, which is rewriting. So, and then the free translation is reproducing the matter without the manner, or the content without the form of the original. Usually, it is a paraphrase much longer than the original. And the last is, not the last, uh, second last is idiomatic translation. Idiomatic translation is reproducing the message of the original that tends to give a nuance of meaning. Thus, a truly idiomatic translation will not feel like a translation, but feel like the original writing. And communicative translation is rendering the exact contextual meaning of the original in such a way that both language and context are readily acceptable. So the purpose of this research actually to develop students' interest in translation. Why? Because
as in fact, as I see from my own experience, some students did not show their interest in translation. They will say that translation is one of a boring matter, one of boring subject, which is actually this is very important. And to find the quality of translation product according to the method that students use. Actually, uh, there are several things that must be considered to find the quality of a translation product itself. Not only method, but in this case, I'm going to focus on the method to qualify students' translation quality, and also to understand more information from source language text. So I made up two questions for this research. The first is, what makes students' translation product is good, and what method are they use in translating? Is it literal translation, word per word translation, free translation, or other methods in translation? So move to the next slide. The methodology that is used for this research is actually descriptive qualitative method. A descriptive qualitative method is actually the research method which is involved collecting data in order to answer concerning current status of the object of the study and the research questions. The using of a descriptive qualitative research is to describe the subject or object of the research factually, and the data is more accurate. Also, I planned to have observation and questionnaire as the data gathering, but since it's a pandemic, so I can't apply an observation for this research. The data samplings taken for several students of senior high school. And the issues for this research is actually, since it is a pandemic situations, and we saw that this research held on the holidays, so it's hard to find students at their school to see how they interact to each other, to see how they communicate to each other, to see how they use language in their activity. Then the observation is not being held for these reasons. Okay. Talking about the learning situation result. After designing the materials, the questions for the students, I took a participant from 7 students, consists of 3 males and 4 females of grade 11 of Darul Ihsan Islamic Senior High School, which I choose them because they are a part of a language section of students organization, namely OSDI. So I think their privilege as language sections will bring their easily to translate some sentences that I have provided. They have a basic language skill. And then the procedure, since the observation is not going to be held, I changed into the pre-test, which is actually I gave them 5 questions for a pre-test, and at the post-test I showed them 10 questions. At the pre-test I give them some questions about vocabulary, how a word is built, how a word is stands. I mean, like they have to identify the word itself, the singular or plural form of a word. And at the post test, I give them 10 questions, not questions actually, I give them 10 sentences according to a narrative text entitled Cinderella, that I think they have already known, even though they haven't read the English version yet, but they have already know the way the story is run. So, and after that, after answering the questions, I gave them reward. So, after collecting the result of their answers, I found out that participant, based on the pre-test, participant has a good basic vocabulary knowledge, since they are able to identify every words that I gave, every vocabulary that I gave them. And according to the post-test results, shows that participants has a medium level of translation, which their translation method stands on literal translations. It means that the translation product that they create, that they have, that they produce, is not translating word per word, but the form is still as the source language form they translated, but I can catch another scene of their translation product itself. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching this video, and sorry for making mistakes, and thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.